Hi, Carol Ann here with Sacred Space School of Yoga and Sacred Space Yoga with Carol Ann. A friend had messaged me recently about doing a series on the chakras. Well, there's a lot of different information and beliefs about the chakra system, so I've decided to do that, but to connect that with yin yoga. Now, if you've never done yin, then you're in for a treat. This is how we exercise our joints, how we release tight fascia and gain connective tissue flexibility. These postures are held anywhere from 1 to 10 minutes, and they have a meditative quality to them. So during that time, we'll think and concentrate and meditate on the chakra that we're working on. This series will have 6 chakras of the body. We will not go into the crown chakra, the Sahasrara chakra, because it's outside of the body. We want to feel this in the body. So today's is on Muladhara, the root chakra, often called the root chakra. It's at the base of the spine. Now, when we think about, and according to the term chakra, the chakra means wheel or spinning wheel. And so often we'll see a red lotus flower in connection with the Muladhara chakra. We'll use this for meditation while we're in our long hold poses. Now, that being said, you might want to get some props. So I have 2 blocks here. I have a bolster and I have a blanket up underneath my hips. If your hips are super tight like mine are, then it's better to have a little bit of prop underneath just to be able to get the spine straighter and work deeper into the hips. So go ahead and grab your props if you're going to use those, and we'll go ahead and get started. So coming into a tall spine, just sit up nice and tall, roll the shoulders back, just gently close the eyes here. And just notice your breath. Just these few moments to open, notice your breath. Now shift your focus to your sits bones connected to the floorboards. Feel how each in-breath our body rises up, and each out-breath our sits bones will drive deeper into the floor, connecting us. Now our root chakra is all about being grounded, feeling stable. It's what we use when we walk or crawl. So if we're imbalanced in this particular area, then we might feel unstable. So we want to concentrate in this first video, this Muladhara, on having the concentration of opening up stuck energy that might be lying at the base of the spine. From this position, just simply walk the hands forward. You can open the eyes or keep them shut and just fold over. You can round the shoulders in just a little bit if you'd like, and just roll in the chin toward the chest. Maybe the crown of the head goes toward the floor. Concentration on pushing back, keeping both hip bones connected to the earth. We can even imagine the earth nourishing us here. The earth gives us our food, our security. So it's important that we find nice security in our life. Now in yin yoga, about every 90 seconds or so, you might feel a shift or release in some tight fascia, some tight connective tissue. Just go with it. Don't try to fight that. And if your mind wanders during this time, just imagine that spinning red lotus flower at the base of the spine, just putting your full energy on it. Now, yin yoga is wonderful for meditative time. Sometimes we can feel uncomfortable and challenged in the postures. So if that happens to be us today, then please just do your best to breathe through it. Experience it in the body and breathe through the discomfort. Now we'll walk our hands up, do a quick reset by just switching sides. So flipping the opposite leg in front. It'll feel different, believe it or not. Finding our easy Sukhasana first, closing the eyes, noticing the connection of the sits bones in a different position. And then as ready, we can walk our hands out, rounding in, dipping the chin in toward the chest and coming back to feeling and experiencing the stability that the earth is offering us. Let the spine round a little bit here. We can use this as a way to release tensions in the lower back and the shoulders, and perhaps even in the neck if we just let our head float toward the earth. Red lotus flower at the base of the spine. Feeling that energy. Maybe feeling that spinning energy trying to rise a little. Now, next time you inhale, just walk your hands back and feel free to do any type of movement. So right now we're going to do a little bit of windshield wipering of the knees, a little bit from side to side, just getting any tensions out before we continue. And coming to position. Let's get onto all fours here for just a few moments. So you can move props out of your way that you may or may not need. Just have them handy where you can reach for them anytime that you'd like. You can either use a bolster here or not, and you can have the knees wide or narrow, but shift yourself back into a child's pose. Forehead maybe touching to the earth. The hips are connecting with the heels. As we sink back, we just allow our body to get heavy and receiving the earth's stability. Once we get comfortable here, we can go back to thinking about that red lotus flower at the base of the spine. Just perhaps spinning, opening energies. We won't be here terribly long, but for right now, just completely relax in. Natural breath, following your breath. Notice what happens in your mind. Don't attach yourself to any thoughts that may arise. Just doing your best to keep that concentration at the base of the spine, using that red lotus flower, Muladhara, root chakra. Every breath, in breath we expand, every out breath we sink deeper into our pose. Now our next inhale will come up onto all fours, and go ahead and feel free to just kind of shake the hips out a little bit, just doing any movement that may have caused some tension or strain. From this position, curl your toes and sit your hips back onto your heels. Now this could be quite uncomfortable. It's a toe stretch, a toe squat, and if you have calcium deposits or any type of arthritic problems in your toes, it's going to be pretty uncomfortable. And even if you don't, it's still going to be some discomfort. So we're not going to stay very long in this. I promise mercy, and we'll come up and out of it. But let me explain to you why we're doing this. The reason that we continue to stretch the toes is because the older we get, those toes can get some arthritic calcium deposits and they can start to curve in. Now when they start to curve in, doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but you can start to lose your balance by not having the full support of the toes pressing into the floor. Now with that thought, just come off for just a second, tops of the feet maybe, and just to stretch and release that. We're going to go back down 2 more times into that position with a little bit of space in between. So as you're ready, come back up on those toes and sit your hips back on those heels. Now the farther back you sit, the more you'll probably feel it in the arches and the ankles as well. Again, I'm going to show complete mercy in this position. And we just hold and breathe. A few more breaths, stretching out those toes. And coming up to release. Now it's important for us to have flexibility in the feet as well, because we stand up, right? We have to work or walk or anything else that we use our legs. So it's important to have full, good structure. Now, I know that we like our comfy tennis shoes, but I want to be honest with you, you are better off walking barefoot as much as you possibly can. Not just to connect with the earth, but to keep the health of the foot. Now, when we get these really soft, cushiony shoes, it feels so good. And we might need those when we're working all day, but when we get home, take that stuff off, because you're not doing yourself any favors by losing the flexibility of the feet. While we're there, let's talk about that a little bit. We love our big comfy chairs, right? Our soft squishy chairs. Well, our soft squishy chairs also causes us to have back pain. 90% of Americans complain of back pain. 90%. Just think about you being in a room with 10 people and at least 9 of those 10 have back issues. A lot of that is due to our comfy chairs that we find so much pleasure in watching television and being inactive. That's enough, right? Come up and out, come back onto the hands and knees, and just tap, maybe slap the feet. Come into a modified pigeon pose from this position. Again, all of our postures will be reclined or seated, except for the very last one. So bring your right leg forward and sit the weight onto the right back butt and hip. Take your front right leg and bring it into 3 90-degree angles. So from there, we want to see a 90 degree from the hip to the knee to the ankle. And then for this, just for a brief moment, we'll flex the right foot, so that makes our third right angle. We do the same for the back. Now notice how far back my knee is here. So I have to kind of move it forward so it has directly out from the hip bone, where we have those 3 90-degree angles. From that position, we turn our chest toward the front thigh and we start to fold and melt over here. Now, once we get in our position, please feel free to relax those feet, because in postures, we want to find challenge in the pose, but we also have to be mindful enough of some discomforts to not be suffering during these long hold postures. So relaxing the feet a little bit, we can now soften in, returning back to our meditative thought, following our breath, thinking maybe even now about our breath feeding the spinning wheel of that red lotus flower at the base of the spine. All of your weight and pressure is going on to that right leg. Really softening every out breath, just relax deeper into the pose. Keeping concentration on the root chakra, the base of the spine, the perineum area. Envisioning that red spinning wheel there. Again, remember, every 90 seconds you may go a little deeper. So just soften into it. Command your muscles to relax and release in this position. Now, this is working a technique called compression against tension. The compression is the hard, immovable floor beneath you. The tension is the amount of body weight and pressure that you're applying to that top leg. And we soften into our space here. Remember, every 90 seconds you might feel yourself going a little deeper, so please don't fight that. Just let yourself melt deeper and deeper into your pose. Going to the edge of challenge, the deeper you go, the more you'll feel this in your body. So as it gets uncomfortable, put your mind back in that meditative state and breathe through it. free to shift a little bit, windshield wipering those legs out just to get some tension release here. And coming back into center, just simply switching to the other side. So left foot comes up, we develop placing our weight on the left side of the butt, getting that left leg drawn in first, getting our 3 90-degree angles, and then checking the back, make sure that we have all 3 of those there as well. From that position, just coming forward and start to melt our way down. We already know what to do, right? So less talk, more fold and hold. Soften in at first, just really breathe it in here. Exhaling each time deeper into the weight of the body, the compression against tension technique here. Having shifted, we return our thoughts back to that spinning red wheel at the base of the spine, perineum area. Relax the muscles into the floor, relaxing the feet now, feeling that deep weight. One more full breath here. And use our hands to push ourselves up. Sitting back just a bit, maybe on your mat, and maybe windshield wipering out. Maybe that feels good. Another option is just to release those legs and shake them out. Moving on to our final posture will be Gomukhasana. This is a deep hip opener as well, but There's some modifications for these. Starting with the right leg, crossing the right leg over and stacking knee on knee. Now, can you see how there's a gap going on here? So sometimes we have to pull forward and pull back in order to be able to get those knees resting on top of one another, trying to get the feet out about the same distance from the buttocks on both sides. I get that not everyone can do this, so here's your option. The bottom leg, if that top is not doable, can be straight, and you'll still be working into the right hip, but you'll also be working into the left hamstring. So completely up to you on how you do it and how your body feels, but keep in mind we'll be holding here for a few moments. So really doing your best to get that. Now I'm really tight in my hips. Have been my whole life. I've been practicing yoga since the 1990s, and it's better, but it just very tight, much better than it used to be. But I keep working at it, right? We do the things that are uncomfortable. That's what I call an off the mat teaching. Finding some peace in our mind while we're in an uncomfortable situation. So once we find either our modified or our full form, hold on to your feet just to get the chest lifted up nice and tall. And then as we exhale, start to fold over, releasing the hands and using your hands as props to press both hip bones into the floor, rolling the chin in toward the chest. And if possible, you can always rest your forehead on your knees, or remember you have props, so you can get a bolster or a block and raise the floor up for yourself that way. It's completely up to you. Just really fold it in, hold and breathe. Concentrate in that meditative thought, following our breath. Soften in. One more inhale and exhale. And walking those hands back. Yes, you're welcome. Coming out, get the legs straight, getting the stiffness out. Ugh. Woo. And second side. So this time the right will be under. So just starting out by getting the right heel back toward the hip, left knee coming over. Remember, you can also straighten that back. That bottom leg is what I meant to say here. And separate. Put. I'm kind of pulling one direction and one another direction. Woo, right? Good. Nice and tall, really lifting up. And as we out breath, we can use our hands to press over. Last posture before Shavasana. So you use your hands to press in. One side will feel so different than the other, and that's very, very normal. So please don't worry about that if it feels different. Don't forget about your lotus flower at the base of the spine. One more inhale, nice long full inhale and exhale. And walk those hands back up. Unbind them and feel free to do any moves that feel right on your body. So after all that, you deserve a really sweet little Shavasana. So maybe this is a really good time to get your props, and if you don't have any, that's perfectly fine. This might feel good at this point, just to have your bolster, a pillow, a rolled blanket underneath the knees. Reclining down. Find some comfort here. Again, if you need to still move around those legs or hips, feel free to do so. Finding ourselves nice and relaxed in. We'll take about a 2-minute Shavasana and we'll end our class in a dangling pose. Just to feel the security of the earth beneath our feet. Get very comfortable here. Relax everything in. Here, go ahead and as if you're standing outside of your body, looking down, look for the parts that might be uneven. Perhaps one hip is higher than the other or one shoulder. So just do any adjustments here before you get too much deeper into the Shavasana. Now we default to old injuries and comfort positions. So if we've injured ourselves at some point, we'll default to make that comfortable. And even after healing happens, we've gotten into the pattern or habit of doing that. So with yoga, we do our best to work on equanimity in the practice, no matter what type of yoga we're doing. So standing over yourself, looking down, if you see anything that needs to be straightened and adjusted, that's perfectly fine. Go ahead and do that. Unless it's painful, go ahead and do it, because we're teaching our mind to default to a new normal here in our bodies. We're resetting our default. Now start to deepen your breath, wiggling out some fingers and toes, maybe even a full body stretch or shavasana, relaxing in. We have one more pose to go, just for us to be able to experience feeling fully grounded. So just roll over to one side or the other. Use your hands to push yourself up, and we'll transition into a downward facing dog, just to be able to move more easily into our final standing pose. So just sending the hips up and back, pushing the heels back, stretching it out, and then coming to a standing position. Now look at your feet, make sure they're about hip width apart. Pick up your toes and spread them out, and then draw those toes into the earth. Shift toward the front toes so we can feel that stretch of the hamstring, and allow the crown of the head to just float toward the floor. Now your arms can be holding onto elbows, or you can just let the hands be dangling here. We're not staying here terribly long. Just finally doing a final stretch for the hamstrings and the lower back before we go on with our day or evening. So we'll just take a little bit of time here. Now place your hands on your thighs for stability and roll yourself up one vertebrae at a time. Rolling the shoulders back, coming into a standing posture. Just hopefully we'll feel a little bit more open in the base of our spine. Feeling more grounded as we stand on the earth. All four corners pressing into the floorboards here. And just release that out. It's been my pleasure to be with you, and I hope to see you again soon. Namaste.